What's going on today, folks? When something comes across my mind, for those who know me, I speak about it. And I've put up a lot of information recently, and and the cognitive dissonance will oftentimes be the ones to fire back at information that I put out there. It just, a lot of this information and things that I speak to, if it's not that it's disheartening, it represents the idea of disrupting what we consider to be normal. And so a lot of this information that I put out there is not going to be digested well by many people because it represents something very far from what we have been indoctrinated and basically trained to define or measure as normal. What I wanted to talk about in particular that was on my mind today is the medical aspect of this situation. And what I believe a lot of people do not understand based on some of the responses that I get from people. Let me start by establishing what some of these responses sound like. Mario, you're not a doctor. Mario, you're not a medical professional. Mario, I've been taught this and that in school. Mario, I have a degree in this. So that makes what I understand far more valuable than anything that you're presenting. Mario, everything that you're talking about is a conspiracy theorist. This is what I want to address today. Because the powers to be have this situation set up in a manner where certain things are not understood for people to be able to see things for what they actually are. It's like having a lot of content and not having any context by which to understand the content you are seeing. Here's where I'm going with this. People, some of you know this, some of you don't. For someone to present an argument, Mario, you are not a doctor. So anything that you say about anything medical or the human anatomy, so forth and so on, you are not a doctor to be able to give an opinion on or an intelligent statement on the subject matter. Well, let's look into that for a second. Who establishes the standard by which all doctors operate? Who or what establishes the standards by which all medical professionals operate? Do they come up with the standard on their own? Do they just wake up one day and say, you know what? I think this sounds pretty smart to say. This sounds pretty intelligent. These are my personal experiences. I'm going to make my own standard. Is that how it happens? Are doctors who have the MD accreditation and a degree to be a medical doctor, are they given the leeway to operate within their own devices and their own discretion? Or is there a standard by which they have to hearken unto or adhere to? How does this work? And the reason I'm asking this is because when you go down that road and unpack that, you find out that doctors do not dictate anything. Scientists do. The field of medical science is the establishment by which doctors operate. All right? Doctors don't set the medical trend. Doctors do not set the medical trend. Doctors are not coming up with the language, the verbiage, the identification, the scientific conclusions. Medical scientists are. So let's start there. Now, Since we've just established that medical scientists set the standard on medical things in the medical community, then you have to understand that there is a private group of scientists, not a public group of scientists. It's not public domain. It's not open for interpretation. It's not a democracy. It's a small group of scientists and a panel that set the standard by which all scientists, all medical education, all medical professionals have to operate. So where do we start this conversation? We started this conversation with the argument that if you say anything contrary to what we're being told is the situation, the argument is you're not a medical professional or doctor. We've just established that doctors do not set the trend. They do not establish the trend. A small panel of scientists, a private and small panel of scientists dictate the trend, the standards, the measurements, the conclusions, all of it. So what happens if you're a scientist, or you're a medical student, or you're a medical professional that has an opinion, a conclusion, an idea, a school of thought contrary to this private scientific panel? If you stand contrary to the system by which that power was given, you will lose your ability, you will lose your licensing, you will be disbarred, or whatever the terminology is that's proper in the medical field. If you stand contrary to the powers to be that have set up the establishments by which medical professionals operate. So where am I going with this today? Why are we talking about this? Here's why we're talking about this. We've established now that doctors and medical professionals, they do not set any establishment, any trend, any measurement. Scientists do. We've established that of the scientists, there is a small panel of scientists who have been given full clearance and leeway to basically say and do and conclude in whatever way, shape, or form they choose, without a check or balance. Where am I going with this? When you unpack this further, you realize that there's no governing system that establishes whether what these private panel of scientists are saying is factual or not. And the system surrounding and protecting them is set up in a facet where if you attempt to question them, you will be silenced, professionally speaking. So what is the current situation? What is the understanding? The understanding is the scientific panel has established this school of thought in Western medicine. Mind you, we're not talking about anatomy here. We're talking about medicine. That's a whole nother conversation. That viruses are these living organisms, these evil organisms that they somehow get into your body from a outside source, right? And they're contagious, and you can pass these evil boogeyman viruses from one person to another. People, I'm here to tell you today, and you can look into this for yourself. In fact, I highly suggest you look into this for yourself. This is not scientifically sound at all. Guess who told you it was scientifically sound? The same panel of scientists that I had just mentioned a couple minutes ago, that are privatized, that go unchecked, that go ungoverned, that are appointed by people that you and I don't know, who are supported by big pharma, big agriculture, these big industrialized entities that make billions upon billions of dollars. These are the ones that fund this private panel of scientists that set the medical standard on everything that we think we understand, whether it's scientifically proven or not. So when someone comes to me and they say something like, Mario, you're not a doctor. How dare you present some information contrary to what we're being told by the professionals? What professionals? The medical professionals? They don't set trend. What? General scientists? General scientists don't set trend. You are placing, and have been, like I used to, have been placing our faith in a small group of people who you and I do not know. You and I do not know their intentions. You and I do not know their bias. You and I could assume that they want the best for us, but we don't know that. And they happen to represent or be supported by multi-billion-dollar interests. You want to tell me there's no bias in that? When you go down the road yourself and look at the scientific journals and research that have actually been done in ethical circles outside of billion-dollar interests that support them, you will find several things interesting in this situation. Number one, you will find that a virus is not a living organism that seeps somehow magically into your body from a foreign environment. That is a lie. And it has been scientifically proven decades ago. There are so many things that have been scientifically proven that do not fit the narrative of the scientific panel that is pushing the standard for whatever purpose is being pushed. So, a virus. Mario, you're saying a virus is not a living organism. It's not contagious. You're saying all these things. What are you saying then? Why do we get sick? Why does it seem like when one person gets sick, another person in close proximity gets sick to them? Here is what the scientists outside of that panel, who have actually done the real research, who have been silenced because they stand contrary to the machine, America's number 2 export, the medical industrial complex, only seconded to the military industrial complex. Here's what the scientists who do the real research is saying. They're saying a virus is not a living organism. It has no membrane. You will not find a virus anywhere in the body. You find viruses in specific locations in the body. Where do you usually find viruses? Near a specific type of cell. Well, Mario, what type of cell do you find viruses near? Ones that are toxic. Ones that have become toxic because of some type of exposure. Be it chemical, be it GMO, be it genetically modified food, tainted food sources, need it be fluoridated water, need it be, it could be a mutated cell as a result of other exposures. We haven't even gotten to radio exposures yet. We haven't even gotten to electromagnetic induced chemical reactions. We haven't gotten to that yet. But there are many different ways that your cells can become toxic. What the scientists are saying is that a virus is produced by the body, which it is sourced to the cells that are toxic. So, here's a hypothetical situation for you. You are exposed to an environment where, for whatever reason, be it dietary, be it stress, because that can impact you as well, be it chemical, be it radioactive or radio wave, electromagnetic, whether it be in that field or not, you are exposed to something which creates cellular toxicity in your body, right? For those who don't understand, the body is hardwired to repair itself. It always has been. Before 1910, Abraham Flexner, who was financed by the Rockefellers to create what we call now the standardized medical accreditation system, homeopathic medicine was all we had, and it worked just fine. And homeopathic medicine was centered around giving the body the herbs that it needs to help itself self-heal. It is openly known that the body can self-heal, but there's more money in managing sickness than managing health. That's a conversation we will get to shortly. So where we are right now, your body becomes toxic. For whatever reason, it can self-heal, right? What does the body do in order to try to self-heal? It tries to remove the toxicity from the cells. How does it do this? A virus is formed. A virus is nothing more than a vehicle that your body has created. The toxic cells in your body has created in order to move said toxins from that cell to either your lymphatic system, which is your sewage system, to get those toxins out of your body, or through your pores. Which is why old school will tell you, especially in the black community, those from the South, you know, grandma would wrap you in a blanket, give you some whiskey, which creates blood flow, can heat your body up. You put honey in it as well. You make a hot toddy. What does it do? What do your grandparents tell you to do? Baby, just wrap up in this blanket. I'm going to give you this whiskey and honey and lemon, and you're going to sweat it out. You're going to sweat the toxins out. You're helping the body help you. People, we've been taught to try to break fevers. Why? What medical professional or scientist told us that it was practical to get the body to stop overheating? Perhaps the body overheating is for a purpose. Perhaps it's not even overheating. Perhaps it's heating up in order to stimulate blood flow. Perhaps it's heating up to promote sweating, to get toxins out of your body. These are things we're not being told. Do you know why? Because this scientific panel, backed by billionaires who want you and I to buy into the idea that pharma is God, wants us to believe a different narrative. And so they have to explain to you a different narrative concerning these things in order to have you look at the very things that are happening to you through a lens that they want you to look at it, through a context that they want you to understand this content. So a virus is produced by a toxic cell within the body by which the toxic cell exists in order to move said toxins out of the body. In the process of moving these toxins through your body to expel them, you get sick. You feel the toxins. Your body is responding to the toxins moving through your body. I'll give you a scenario. Say all of us are in a room. Not a big room. Say it's I don't know. Let's say we're all in an apartment. Say someone drops, a radioactive isotope in there. We'll equate a radioactive isotope to toxin. Say someone drops it in the corner of the building that we're in. We know eventually we're going to die. Slowly, because it's away from us. It's far enough away from us where it can harm us in a slow sort of manner. It's a slow death. But we're hardwired to know, hey, one of us has to go over there and get this isotope up out of here. But in order to get it out the environment, it has to be moved through the house and out the front door. In the process, you get sick. Because if I'm the one that was called in, let's say I'm the virus, I'm called in to get the toxins up out the house. I got to go grab them from their location in the environment, move them up out the house. At some point, that brings it closer to you. Toxins are going to affect you if they're in close proximity. This is why we get sick. When our body is going through the process of healing, we get sick because those toxins are moved throughout the body to the lymphatic system. This is why we're told to drink a lot of water and stay hydrated when we're sick. You're trying to assist your body by keeping your lymphatic system, for lack of a better term, moisturized, to allow the sewage system to push them toxins out your body. Now, someone's going to argue with Mario. What about